Tēnā koutou katoa and good afternoon everyone. It's an incredible privilege and honour to have been elected the leader of the New Zealand National Party today, and I want to thank my colleagues for putting trust in me and their confidence in me. It's absolutely fantastic to have Nicola Willis also elected as our deputy leader, and I can tell you she's going to do an incredible job and we'll be a formidable team. I'd also like to thank Judith Collins for her leadership in a very difficult period of time for the National Party. And I particularly want to thank Dr. Shane Retty for his very dignified leadership over the last few days as we've gone through this process. Now, I guess much has been made of my relative newness to Parliament, but to be honest, I see it as an advantage. I bring a fresh set of eyes, and what I see is that this place and this country needs a real shake-up. Nicola and I are fresh faces for a revitalised National Party. We are the reset. Today, we are drawing a line under the events of the last 4 years, and we are putting them behind us. And I want to say to all New Zealanders, if you're one of the 413,000 voters who moved away from us, my message to you is very simple. National is back. Now, I've built a career out of working in some of the biggest underperforming companies in the world, and I'll bring that real-world experience to this role. Under my leadership, National will use our breadth of talent and our real-world experience every day to deliver for each and every New Zealander. We will be the new National Party for New Zealand. We are the National Party that New Zealand needs. Now, there'll be other opportunities for me to talk about who I am and National's policies and plans. But today I want to be very clear with you about one thing. New Zealand is at a critical crossroads as we grapple and emerge from a global pandemic. We have a choice between our current road to mediocrity or a pathway to a much more confident, prosperous and ambitious future. New Zealand needs an alternative now more than ever to take us in the right direction, because frankly, the country is heading the wrong way. Inflation is soaring, we're paying more than ever before at the checkout and at the petrol pump, and everyday Kiwis are struggling to get ahead. There'll be 1 million Kiwis missing at Christmas dinner this year because they can't get home to see their loved ones. And over 100 days in lockdown, Aucklanders are still utterly confused and directionless. And our provincial heartland feels taken for granted. And I can tell you, our farmers are not villains. Now, I know there's a massive difference between announcements and achievement. Talking about something gets you a headline. Actually getting things done is what improves the lives of New Zealanders. And after 4 years, New Zealand has had a government that's very good at delivering PR, but woeful at delivering much else. Nice ideas and good intentions don't pay the rent or the mortgage, they don't educate our children, they don't keep us healthy, they don't keep us safe from crime and gangs, they don't improve our mental health, and they don't lower our emissions or keep us united. Now, I've seen incredible things that people can accomplish when they are freed up and given the tools and the choices to seize opportunities. I believe in a New Zealand that rewards hard work, a New Zealand that empowers Kiwis to take a punt and to create prosperity for themselves and for their families. But most of all, I believe in a New Zealand that, while small in size, is large in ambition. And I want us to rediscover that and get our mojo back. Because growing our economy and raising productivity are the single biggest things that we can do to improve the daily lives of all New Zealanders. Now, I pledge to all New Zealanders that I will give everything I have to this role. I'm proud to lead a government in waiting that will work every day to represent New Zealanders, a national party that earns back their trust and confidence and actually delivers for them. And the national government that I lead will be a government of action. We will bring the tide back in and we will lift all boats. We need to seize the tremendous opportunities that we have rather than to squander them. And as I often like to say, we will all get the country we all ultimately deserve. And I think we deserve nothing but the very, very best. Finally, can I just say, I do want to say that I can't do this role without the support of my family, and to my wife Amanda and my children William and Olivia, who are stuck in lockdown in Auckland, hopefully watching on TV. Thank you for being so supportive, understanding and encouraging. I love you. And I want to say again a big thank you to my caucus colleagues for my selection as leader. And I want to thank Nicola for joining me in this leadership team. And with that, Nicola and I are very happy to take your questions. Jessica.
What part does religion like and what part does it play in your leadership?
Yeah, look, I really appreciate the question because, to be honest, that is something that my faith has been often misrepresented and portrayed very negatively. And what I can tell you about is that my faith is actually something that has grounded me. It's given me context and put me into context, something bigger than myself. But I want to be very clear. We have separation between politics and faith. People shouldn't be selecting an MP because of their faith, and they shouldn't not be selecting an MP because of their faith. It's important that everyone understands I am here to represent all New Zealanders, not just people of one faith or one interest. And that's no different from any other MP or leader that's in this Parliament as well. Jane. Well, there is a role for everybody in our caucus. We're going to use the talents of all 33 members. What I'd say to you is Simon and Judith and Todd, as former leaders, there are very important roles for them in our caucus. They are people of big... Sorry? We are not in a position yet to talk about roles. And what I want to say about that is that our conversation as a caucus has been about a recognition of, yes, I'm new to politics. Yes, I might make some mistakes along the way, and I think that's actually good. But what is good is actually that we have a team that is actually backing us up with complementary skills. Absolutely.
What position, what kind of senior role or position she's given?
Yeah.
Given she is your predecessor.
So what I want to tell you is over the last few days, we've had a lot of conversations, as you'll be well aware, with different members of the caucus. And I have to be really honest, all of those conversations were about strategic issues around where the party goes and how we generally come together and properly unify. There has been no commitments made to positions. That's the work that we'll get into in the coming days.
Can I ask you,
Sorry, Barry?
that you mentioned now several times the whole newness to politics.
Yeah.
What have you learnt in politics in your short time here, and how does it differ from business?
Well, look, I think the key thing I'd say is a lot of the content and the processes are different, but the skills needed around how you lead people, how you set culture, how you get the best out of people is in fact the same. And it's important that, I think that's the skill that you need in this job, and more importantly, that's the skill you need for running the country. My background is very simply about leading large, complex organisations, and importantly, solving problems, getting results, and doing it through people. And that is what this job's about, and that's what running the country's about. What I'd say to you is, but I'm also trying to say to you is that we have an incredibly talented team in that caucus, and we need to harness each and every individual's talents and skills and put them to work and play as a team, and that's what the commitment has happened with an uncontested leadership today. No, look, it's an opportunity, and it's an opportunity for all of us to step up. You can't plan anything in politics, I've learnt, Barry. Well, I'm just really proud to be doing it with Nicola. Nicola and I actually have known each other for a long time and are good friends. But more importantly, that's the whole point I'm trying to make to you all, which is we're going to build a high-performance team, and we're going to make sure we have complementary skills. And if you think about it, I come from a corporate world and an outside world. Nicola's been done incredible things in a political world for a long period of time. The skills are very complementary.
Last week you were a handsome bald man, quote unquote, yourself. Who is Christopher Luxon now?
Well, look, what I'd say to you first and foremost is I am the very proud husband of Amanda Luxon. I am the proud dad of William and Olivia, a brother and a son. I'm a wannabe DIY guy. I spend too much time at Bunnings looking at the Ryobi 1 toolset. I love water skiing and I love country music. And that's not cool to say, and I apologise to New Zealand for saying it, but I do like it. And what I'd say is I'm an extrovert, and fundamentally I know how to lead people and how to lead teams. That's what I enjoy doing. Sorry.
Nicola Willis. Who is Nicola Willis?
I am a mother of 4 beautiful children with an incredible supportive husband. I am someone with a hard head but a soft heart, and I'm someone who wants to work with this man to make this country a much better place for all of us.
There's some speculation that the High Council Council will bring to Labour over zoning of the digital land to be under there's something that would be the mixture is that will affect the outcome. That doesn't affect
Look, where we are is we want to make sure we're building more houses in this country. We want to do it in a sustainable way, in an enduring way. We've had a process where we've had a bill go to select committee. That select committee is about to be deliberated on. The select committee gave us a whole bunch of feedback from experts, from local government, from local citizens. There were sort of two thematics coming out about that: design guidelines and flexibility for local government. And we want to digest that feedback and propose some amendments to that legislation, which Nicola will be engaging with the government around. Sorry, can we go to Luke?
National's greatly diminished its economic brand.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
National's greatly diminished its economic brand over the past 18 months. What do you plan to do with it?
Well, look, the biggest problem we have in New Zealand, and we've had it, let's be honest, for the last 30 years, is that we don't have a productive enough economy. And what we mean by that is that Kiwis are working hard. We're some of the hardest working people in the world, but we're not generating high enough incomes. And as a result, that's what we've really got to focus on. It actually, then you say, well, what drives that? Well, we've got to really redouble our education and really invest in education as a means of building the skills that we can so we can access higher paying jobs, get higher salaries and wages, give people more choices. So building productivity back into the economy through education, through infrastructure, through automation is really very serious. Either we want to be a higher wage economy or we don't, and we need to do that.
Simon Bridges, Todd Muller, Judith Collins, and now yourself all stood before the same press pretty much, said the same things, and all said that they could beat Jacinda Ardern. How do you think that you're different from the rest?
Well, look, each person brings a unique set of skills to this role, and what I'm bringing to this role is a history of leadership and of getting things done. I love solving problems, I like getting results, and I like doing it through, with, and for people, and that's what I'm going to bring to the job. Sorry, Claire?
What do you consider to be Jacinda Ardern's weakest spot?
Look, I think Jacinda Ardern is a fine communicator, but the reality is we need much more than that at this point in time. We need a leader and we need a government that's actually going to get things done. And let me talk to you about that because here we are in a global pandemic focused on delivering outcomes to keep us safe with COVID, and we have no single extra ICU bed in this country after 12 to 15 months. We've been talking about antigen testing and saliva testing forever. It's finally just starting to happen. Thank goodness the government is picking up Chris Bishop's in our COVID plan. But if you just go through it, MIQ, the logic of MIQ at the moment is flawed. And these things sort of matter. How do you spend more money on education and actually have New Zealand slip to the bottom 3 countries in the world on maths, reading and science? How do we have 40% of our kids not going to school regularly? And so there is a big difference between words and announcements of announcements versus actually saying, here's the vision, here's the execution, here's the results, let's get it done.
5 days ago, the National Caucus voted no confidence in Judith Collins. What has she done since then that now enables you to say she's going to continue to have an important position in your caucus?
We are going to do things differently from here on through. It is very clear today, and you've watched this contest be different from recent contests, that actually we are turning the page, we're putting the baggage aside, we're trusting each other. We know that will take work, but we're going to do that job incredibly well. And I would put it to you that Simon, Judith, Todd, and all other 33 members have a unique set of skills that we have to tap into and use the full value of our team in order to get there. What I'd say to you is I feel very confident when I look at the 33 people in the National Party caucus to put them person on the other side. I think they beat them. I think when you say who would you want for minister for X, Y or Z, I think we've got all the talent and all the team we need to be able to get the job done. Jessica?
You've said to us that you have some levels from John Key, that where you worked with John Key in a past life. What do you say to the criticism of his influence on this hearing and this thing?
Yes, I want to be crystal clear about that because it was incredibly frustrating for us and I think probably for everyone. John Key has not been asked to get involved in this or talk to any MPs at all, and he didn't. So the key thing I'd say to you is, look, we get the association. John and I are good friends. We became friends a long time ago. And he is, as I've said before, a good mate and a great friend. And he was a great Prime Minister. But let's be clear, I'm not John Key, I'm Christopher Luxon, as is Nicola Willis. And that's the way we'll go forward.
Luxon, can you
Sorry, John?
Simon Bridges was on the call this morning saying that he had a conversation with you. What was the basis of that conversation and had you to do some sort of deal with
Look, I don't really want to talk about what's happened in our past. The bottom line is I can tell you we have an uncontested leadership selection and we've come together as a team. And I am wanting to signal to you, as a new person coming in without baggage from the past, from all the previous skirmishes, I get all that stuff, but New Zealand's over it. The National Party members are over it, and the caucus is over it. And so we want to turn the page and go forward together. And so what I can tell you is Simon Bridges has got prodigious skills and is fantastic, and he's got a key role to play going forward. We will talk about positions because, as I've said to you before, what was really encouraging over the last weekend was that we were having conversations, real conversations, about how we finally break this pattern of behaviour and actually choose to do something very, very different. And so there hasn't been conversations with anyone about who's getting what and doing what. And I think that's important because we want to build a team based on talent and merit and performance. And that's what we're going to do going forward.
Yes, sir. You've got the ACT Party nipping on your heels. There's a non-zero chance they could overtake you in the next poll. How do you view the relationship between the two parties? I mean, where do you need to cooperate and where do you need to compete with that?
Look, I'm yet to talk to all the leaders of the political parties, and that's something that I'll do in the coming days. The major focus we have to focus on is making sure that the National Party is very clear to everybody about what we're standing for and what we're going to get going with. And really what it comes down to is we know how to solve problems, we know how to put the plan together, and we know how to measure it and get it done, and that's what we're going to do. Sorry, Jane? No, look, I want to be really clear. If you look at the history of the National Party, if you go back through the 84-year history, you will see that how we did it today is in fact how we normally would do it, I'd put it to you. And that's a good sign because it basically means the caucus has had conversations, and that's the powerful thing about the one-on-one conversations, the group conversations, however they want to do it. But we all come to a consensus and we align around one leader, and that's what's happened today. And I think it's a really important signal to New Zealand and to the party that we are wanting to genuinely do things differently, and I can do that because I'm new.
And I know you're going to stand there and say this, however, can you be confident that the caucus is going to get behind you and you're not going to have the same shenanigans as we've seen for years and years?
Well, I can tell you what I'm used to doing is building really high-performing teams. And we've set new expectations, and I think it's crystal clear in that caucus room. And as a former CEO, running an executive team, it's not that dissimilar. That's one of the transferable pieces. There's high trust, high expectations. And absolutely.
Can you plug the legs?
Sorry?
Plug the legs in your caucus?
We can, because we are unified about that, and we want to fundamentally focus on the things that matter. Now, I'm not interested in leaks and stuff like that, in terms of we're going to get going and get moving as we go forward.
I feel like you're constantly going to have to be watching your back.
No, absolutely not. I feel none of that. Because you're thinking about a game that's actually realising that you think politics is house of cards. You think politics is about someone has to go up and someone goes down. No, I get it. But it's actually a team sport, and it's actually about public service. That's why I have come to this place. I've genuinely come here because I actually see great problems and great opportunities for New Zealand, and I want to go to work on those things. So that's the serious stuff of why we're here, not the ups and downs and all the shenanigans. We're in a place where we obviously we need to get the feedback back from the select committee, and that's a conversation that we'll have going forward. We want to see the feedback from the select committee. I can tell you what we think is it's an abhorrent practice, and we want to be able to digest the feedback, and we'll take it from there.
Under the last leadership, there were some comments made by MPs that were regarded as racist or had racist slants to them. What can Māori expect from you under?
Well, what I'd say to you is that I think Māori did incredibly well under previous national governments. If you think about the growth in the Māori economy, up to $67 billion, I think, today, a lot of all of that was set up under a national government. You think about the treaty settlements that took place through that period of time. So my message very simply is Māori have done well under national governments. And frankly, Māori also want the same problems that we need to solve for all New Zealanders solved here as well.
Your MPs from saying strange things about Māori?
I believe, I can talk about what we're going to do going forward, and what we're going to do going forward is we believe in an inclusive country, and we will take it forward from there.
MPs
You said you
Well, we have some really good work that Louise Upston and Nicola actually have been doing and have kicked off just recently with that, with a view of over the next year, how do we actually go back, check, listen in with New Zealand people, understand the issues well, define the problems well, and then actually develop our policy on the back of that. So we will continue that work. We might sharpen up a few aspects of it, but that's a conversation to come in coming weeks.
Which areas do you think need sharpening?
Well, let's go through it. We want to see a more productive economy that drives higher incomes and wages. We need to seriously address our education challenges. I don't think the average New Zealander understands how poorly we have been performing in education. We need to think deeply about mental health, and because it's irrespective of political party, that's an issue for every New Zealander, that is touching every New Zealander. We need to think very deeply about how we manage emissions as we go forward. And we need to think primarily about how we build and develop infrastructure in this country as well. So there's a whole range of questions that we have that we want to be able to define well and develop good policy off the back of it.
Sorry, back to our Lukawa's line. You are the Three Waters spokesman. Are you opposed to the Maori co-governance models proposed in the Three Waters model and also in the health reforms?
Yeah, look, the real challenge is, first and foremost, I'd say restructuring healthcare at this point in time while we're dealing with a global pandemic and a response to COVID that's ever changing, I don't think is the smartest thing. I think we need a healthcare system ruthlessly focused on the task of keeping New Zealanders safe and well. The second thing I'd say is that on Three Waters, the bigger issue on Three Waters is it's got a very confused about ownership and governance structure. That's what we're fundamentally opposing. These are assets that are owned by local ratepayers and local residents and local councils that have been taken away by government.
The question was about the Maori co-governance aspects of those reforms.
Yeah, so we have broader issues around the total ownership and governance structure of Three Waters.
The Māori statistically are at the bottom of the barrel ruthlessly as well in health statistics, so should they just wait till the end of the pandemic before something's sorted?
No. We in this country where we have issues around inequality and inequity, we need to really identify and target the people that need real targeted interventions and able to put them on a pathway where they can be independent and not dependent on the state. And so this notion that, say, Bill English developed around social investment, I would say, Bernard, is another thought that we need to be able to bring to life in practical times as well. One last question. Yes, sir.
You mentioned lowering emissions. Do you think your climate policy will be different from that of Judith Collins, who wanted to walk across the aisle against the Zero Carbon Act?
We are committed to the commitments that we made around climate emission reduction. What I'd say to you is there's a real opportunity for New Zealand. We have the best agricultural producers in the world. They have been able to embrace sustainability, economic and agricultural practices incredibly well. And actually there's an opportunity for us to lead the world as we deal with agricultural emissions. Hey,
Is it Chris or Christopher?
You can call me, it's basically my parents and my wife call me Christopher. My brothers and my friends call me Chris, and a lot of other people call me CML, and I'm sure many of you will call me lots of other names. Hey, with that, I'll close, and thank you for your time, and we'll carry on with our work. Thank you.